Hi, I'm Angela Potocznik. I'm a professor of philosophy at the University of Cincinnati. I founded the Center for Public Engagement with Science here at UC, and now I direct it. A lot of that involves seeking internal and external funding and developing our network across University of Cincinnati, Greater Cincinnati, and in academia.
Hi, my name is Melissa Jakehart. I'm an assistant professor here at the University of Cincinnati in the philosophy department, and I am the associate director for the Center for Public Engagement with Science.
Hello, I'm Max Cormody. I'm the executive director of the Philosophy of Science Association and the program director for the Center for Public Engagement with Science.
So the three of us together work as a team to lead the center. We come together frequently for meetings to discuss what the center should be working on, what projects we want to be exploring, who at the university is interested in getting involved with us, and then also just generally recruiting and trying to bring together the scientists, the humanists, the social scientists around the University of Cincinnati's campus who are interested in engaging with the public about science, and then also reaching out to various community partners, organizations to find out what they're up to, who might be interested in working with folks at UC, and vice versa. And so I'm the associate director. And so part of what I do is work with Angela and Max on various projects. I'll take lead on certain projects based on where their efforts are and where my efforts might be most useful. One of the areas in which I do a lot of personal research and outreach on is science education. So for our group, I do a lot of work related to the formal science education aspects with local K-12 schools.
I do a lot of kind of behind the scenes nuts and bolts sort of stuff. I do budget management. I plan many of our public facing events with the help of Angela and Melissa and our faculty affiliates.
And in my role directing PEWS, a lot of my efforts involve seeking internal and external funding, developing our network across University of Cincinnati and Greater Cincinnati, and then in academia. As time has gone on, it turns out that this is more facilitation than actual public engagement than I had anticipated, but it also feels valuable and it's something that I enjoy doing. So I do like my role in that. Public engagement with science is the interface between science and the public, and that looks a lot of different ways in different contexts. So here at PEWS in the Center for Public Engagement with Science, we think of this as a balance of our work being driven by theory, but then also focusing on actual applications, that is actually meaningfully engaging with the public rather than just talking and writing about it. PEWS is a little unusual in its leadership coming from philosophy of science. So this offers, I think, a different perspective and then also some distance from the actual practice of science, which over time, I think we found is actually a useful kind of distance.
And in terms of the day-to-day of PEWS, part of what we try to do is bring together folks across UC's campus, as well as with community partners around the city of Cincinnati, to really focus on different ways that the public can engage with science.
Briefly, what we do at PEWS is we engage with the public about science. That's many varieties of engagement and across lots of different kinds of scientific content. But taking a step back, our focus is also on researching and teaching theory and best practices in public engagement with science.
And one of the ways that you can break down the conceptualization of public engagement with science is into 4 categories. One is just sort of general science communication, public talks, lectures, news articles, things that you might read as a member of the public about science. So that's one. Another is formal science education. So thinking about people who are learning, K-12 students in traditional education classrooms, learning about science. Also, that extends to college and university settings as well, sort of any formal way in which you're learning about science. So that's the second. And a third is informal science education. So thinking of places where you might know that you're going somewhere to learn, like a museum or a park, you might learn about science in that context, but it's not as formal as sort of like a classroom would be. And the fourth is members of the public engaging with science. So community engaged scientific work. They could be working with a scientist or a researcher, or just as a community coming together to think through different ways that their community might engage with science.
Sure. So, I mean, what I've found largely is that engagement is engagement, right? When you are looking to engage the public, you've got a variety of tools, right? My past tools just happen to be fire and knives and very flashy things, and my current tools are knowledge and interesting interesting developments in the field of science broadly writ. I think a lot of what we do and the value of what we do is social. I mean, we build networks of people that are all like-minded, whether it's the sustainability initiative or anything else that we do. We're bringing together people that have a common goal and a common interest, and that is the most important step in engagement. And that's where we've had faculty affiliates commend us for building this sort of network, saying things like, I would have never known that this person is even at the university, much less doing this sort of research, had it not been for PEWS. And so I think that's really where I see a ton of value in my presence here, is kind of building the social side and building the networking side of the organization.
So public engagement with science comes in lots of different varieties. There's K through 12 science education, college science education, informal science education, science communication, public engagement, scientific research, science policy. I'm sure there are others that I'm not thinking of. One idea behind what we do is that we think it's productive to consider what public engagement looks like and should look like really broadly across all of those varieties, and then across different kinds of science as well. And so that's one way into the point that an important sort of framing that we have to our work is that it's essentially interdisciplinary. So it's really important, we think, to draw from lots of different disciplinary knowledge in what public engagement with science can look like in one context or another. Another really central idea behind what we do is that we think effective public engagement is often local and hands-on. So we focus less maybe on sort of coaching people to write op-eds in major venues, and then more, although not only, but more than on coaching people to engage with local groups and communities. And so this is, we think of as a commitment to participant-centered public engagement with science. And then lastly, following directly on that point, we think of public engagement science done well as community partnered. So it's really important to us that we work effectively with organizations and groups across the community, especially here in Greater Cincinnati, and to also amplify the work going on with community organizations, and then also here at the university, rather than just trying to sort of do everything ourselves. Putting those together, we think of our approach to public engagement science as being interdisciplinary, participant-centered, and community partnered.
So one of the things that we try not to do at our center is come to our community partners with fully formed ideas already. We've found that one of the most meaningful ways to work with community partners is to talk with the community partners, find out what their needs are, and figure out if there's some way in which working with us or other UC faculty or graduate students or undergrads would be useful. And we then try to come together to develop a kind of project. So one of the things we really try not to do is to work independently of our community partners and go to them with a fully complete idea. Often they have a very clear idea of what will and won't work with the audience that they work with on a daily basis, much better than us. And so for us, it's really important that those things happen as a co-collaboration as much as possible.
Okay, we also try to be good partners in the sense that we like to promote their activities and promote their events around Cincinnati, and kind of we try to bring more to the table than just questions for them and just asking things of them. So I think that our newsletter roundup of science activities in Cincinnati is an important step in that direction, and that we like to be viewed and valued as true partners.
When I think broadly about how one develops relationships between the academy and when one's situated in the academy and other stakeholders, I think the simplest answer is really just asking what potential partners or stakeholders need. And that's asking that before you decide what you want to do and actually listening and paying attention to the answer, which often means, right, asking follow-up questions to get a sense of what their needs and priorities really are. We work with a whole lot of different organizations in Greater Cincinnati, so ranging from informal science education venues like the Cincinnati Museum Center to organizations, increasingly organizations in the sustainability space. So for example, Green Umbrella, and then other public-facing organizations who you might not initially think of as doing work related specifically to science, but that can be really wonderful collaborators. So for example, the Mercantile Library was maybe our first partner organization.
And our partnerships are always growing. So the best place to get a sense for who we're currently partnering with is to go to our website and go to our People and Partners page and scroll down to our community partners. We always keep a running list of who we're working with and what kinds of projects we're working on our website. So check it out.
We also like to co-sponsor events that are public facing. So we have upcoming events with the Cincinnati Ethics Center and the Office of Sustainability here at UC.
So one of the other schools we'll be partnering with over the next couple years, connected to a project of my own related to bringing philosophy to science fairs, is the PEWS High School, which is just across the street from Cincinnati. We'll be working with some of their middle schoolers in a project trying to expand what science fairs look like. So that'll also be a really fun way to work with some local schools. We also do work related to research. So we have a research and discussion group that brings together faculty and graduate students across UC's campus to discuss issues related to public engagement with science. We also have a research and discussion group that focuses specifically on topics related to sustainability. And we also have a grant connected to the National Science Foundation to do some research on what effective public engagement with science graduate education should look like. So that's another research project we're starting. And then in addition to those outreach efforts, the research projects that we've just summarized, we also do education. We have an undergraduate course called How Science Works that focuses on engaging our undergraduate population in sort of what science is, how science works. And then, as we mentioned, we do research on this graduate education curriculum we're developing, but the education itself is also a project that we do here at UC in PEWS.
And so with that new NSF Innovations in Graduate Education funded project, we're beginning next year introducing interdisciplinary graduate courses on public engagement with science, and those courses will culminate in summer internships where each intern is matched with a community partner organization to delve deeper into what public engagement with science looks like in that context and develop an independent project.
To get involved and to find out how you can get involved is by visiting our website, ucengagingscience.org.
For folks who are interested in public engagement with science and part of the University of Cincinnati community, you can also join the PEWS team in Microsoft Teams. So we do a lot of our internal communication that way. And that includes sharing out information about jobs that relate to PEWS that cross our desk, other upcoming events that might not make it onto our broad email list, and so on.
And on our website, you can go to the Join Us section, and there we have information for all sorts of folks to figure out how to get involved. So UC researchers and faculty can get involved by either becoming a faculty affiliate or partnering with us on some projects that they're interested in. UC students can get involved by taking some of our classes or finding ways to work on projects with us. And then we also have a tab for the Cincinnati community where we showcase what projects PEWS has worked with folks in the past on, and a form for reaching out to us if a community member wants to find ways to partner with us.
And another sort of really simple answer is that we do have a very active email list So joining our email list, which again, you can get information on how to join our email list from our website, is a great way to see announcements of what we're up to, events we have planned, opportunities that we have. We just published upcoming graduate student intern opportunities, for example. And so joining our email list, we send out about 1 email a week is a good way to get started.